Hey everybody, Jonathan Mark Mendes, Painted Love, and welcome to my channel. Today's project is not a paint project, but it is a creative one nevertheless. It's Christmas time. We're decorating the front of the house. As you can see, the door wreath is on the door already. This is last year's project, which has been stored away for a year. It was created with artificial foliage and dried goods. It's held up really beautifully. So there's just a couple of elements that I might refresh on that, but really we're going to be working on the outside of the house with the garland up and over the door. It is rather noisy on the front of the house, so this is going to be a voice-overed tutorial from here on in, so please forgive me for that, but let's get stuck in. Also, while I remember, if you fancy seeing the door wreath project from last year, I will link it in below. To secure your door garland, you're going to need to apply some screws. You can see me here popping the first one in and leaving it out proud. I'm only going to use one in each corner and one central to the door. So the best hack I could give you at this point is go and grab the cheapest faux garland you can find. Probably in one of your cheap pound stores or dollar stores, wherever you are in the world, and wire it to your screws. So I'm starting from a central part. I've measured this out. You may need to attach 2 or 3 garlands together to create the length, and push out all of the branches, spread them out, and just twizzle it round your screw to secure in place, pulling tight. And then this is the basis for all of your natural elements to be wired into. So this is the first set of branches that I'm adding to my faux garland to create that more naturalistic look. This is a conifer. We use these in the UK quite often for hedging. It's just a lovely branch and it's got lovely full fronds that I really like. I love the colour, and I'm just adding them a little bit by bit, and I'm twining the artificial garland around the fronds to hold into place, and I'm doing this intermittently around and up and over the doorway. Once again, spreading out the faux branches to receive the conifer and twining in to hold into position. Adding another branch, the same again, pushing underneath, taking 2 fronds and twizzling round in a circular motion to hold into place. It's really lovely working with this gorgeous evergreen foliage. It just is so malleable. I have left larger gaps ready to receive my next evergreen foliage, which is going to be laurel leaves. Now, the reason I've gone for this next foliage is because it's lovely as a contrast. The shiny leaves against the dullness of the Leyland conifer just works really well. Although they are pretty much the same sort of colours, I think the textural difference really works well. And against the front door, it seems to work fabulously. Interestingly, this is crown paint on the front door, and the name of it is actually laurel.
So here's some of the items that I'm going to use to embellish the actual greenery. I've got some faux berries here. I do use real berries, but there's been a bit of a shortage where we collect them from a friend's garden. So I'm going to go with some faux berries. These are last year's dried limes and oranges. They've kept quite well. These keep much better if you keep them in a dry environment. I've had them in my workshop, it's quite damp, but they've not done too bad. The limes have weathered much better, but I'm going to reuse these. Also, I've got lotus flowers, and all I've done with all of these is I've used florist wire. I'll take a length of florist wire, like that, and generally all I do is, especially with the lotus, is just poke straight through the lotus, like so, fold the arms up and then twizzle round, and that gives you a nice support for each thing. The same with the dried oranges. You can go through the orange from one side to the other and twizzle it around, and then you can wire these all in. Same with berries. I can use, as we have with all of the garland, we've been winding them into the faux garland, or if not, if there's no space, I will use another piece of florist wire just wrapped around anywhere around here, like so, and then that makes easy to, so they don't blow away, they stay in place.
I've decided to work with the berries first. The reason for this is they're such a strong contrast with the green, and it gives me the chance to space them out evenly. I'm just popping them on with florist wire, either wiring them to the garland underneath or to one of the branches that are firmly in place, and making sure that they're evenly spread out. Tend to stand back quite a lot to have a look at the balance of where I'm placing everything. Moving on to another recycled item from last year's projects, which was the limes and tangerines, which were dried out in the oven, which I did do on a tutorial for the door wreath, which is linked in beneath this video. Also adding some lotus flowers, which these were a purchase from eBay, and they just go on for years and years. They're dried out, so they're perfect to just keep on bringing out each year. And I'm always checking my balance, always standing back to look at how everything sits in. Carrying on the theme up and over the doorway. This is a bit complicated, stood on ladders, but you will get there bit by bit. Just take your time, stand back, have a look at the overall balance and how the scape looks. So I'm at the final flourish now, and I felt like there was just something missing. There's a couple of elements that I wanted to forage from our own garden, and one of those is hydrangea heads. I use these a lot in staging furniture. They're not completely dried out, there's still a little bit of colour in them. They're kind of a bit pinky brown. I felt that that would work really well against the brickwork. Mr. M has kindly gone into the garden with the loppers and trimmed some off for me. They look really good against the green. Also, I thought that I would add some eucalyptus, and that's from our garden as well, and maybe some feathers. I've quite often used pheasant feathers as another brownie element, so you may see me adding them along the way. There's just a few finishing touches to go, and as you can see, the door garland is really full and healthy looking. Remember, we started out this project with just 5 screws and a real cheap garland. Now that's all of the structure and support that you will need. Last year I did this and it held out all the way through the season, and I think if I'd left it to the summer, it probably still would have looked really lovely. So that's just about it for today's project. The last thing that you can see me doing here is weaving in and out of that beautiful foliage some fine fairy lights for some gorgeous glow in the evening. I do hope that you've enjoyed my Christmas doorscaping, and you will join me maybe on a paint tutorial in the future. But for now, from me and Mr. M, Merry Christmas.